What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to be giving you the complete San Diego Comic-Con 2023 roundup for all of the brand new Transformers reveals. Now, as you guys may recall, last year was definitely incredibly mediocre. Hasbro basically just showcased, I believe then it was Legacy Wave 3 for year 1, and they just showcased all of the robots in their robot modes. Unfortunately, no vehicle mode images, and it was just such a big letdown considering that it was the first proper SDCC since, I believe, 2019. Well, I am so glad to say that they absolutely learned from their mistakes last year, because this year they gave us some of the biggest drops that I think we've so far seen, and I'm kind of surprised to see just how many Transformers they did reveal, considering that we're now in July, and you would kind of think that maybe we would have seen the majority of what is left for this year. But wow, some of these are insane. So we're just going to get stuck straight into things, and they kick-started things off with my personal favourite Transformers line at the moment, that being Studio Series, and it's a character from the latest live-action movie, Rise of the Beasts, and it is Core Class Terracon Novocaine. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, who on earth is Novocaine? He's basically the second of Scourge's sweeps that kind of crawl out of his back in that museum fight. It's kind of cool to get this guy because he did have a slight difference when in comparison to Terracon Frieza, in the sense that he had some battle damage, but unfortunately this does just seem to be, I want to say, a redeco of Frieza. It doesn't look like they changed the head sculpt at all, so basically they just applied a bit of kind of battle damage paint nap to the right hand side of his face. Does kind of suck considering I believe the actual CGI model has a massive scar going through the crest, but this image isn't the greatest, so maybe once we get the official in-hand looks it may look slightly better. But honestly, I think I'm going to give this one a pass. I already have two versions of Frieza in my collection, and there just isn't enough here to worth warrant picking this guy up. But then we got a reveal for Core Class, which was something that I never in a million years thought Hasbro had planned for this year, let alone ever. So this is a Core Class Exosuit Noah Diaz. Now, spoiler alert, if you've watched Transformers Rise of the Beast, which I'm pretty certain you guys all have, Mirage basically gets killed off, and then almost Jet Power Prime fuses himself to Noah to create this exosuit, and this is pretty decent. I mean, it's a cool idea. So basically we get, I guess you could say, the robot mode of the exosuit. It does have a lot of kibble, and that's because it is a Transformer, so they have given him an alt mode, which we'll get into in just a second. I love the details on the robot mode. For a Core Class, it does appear to be pretty decently painted. I imagine due to likeness rights, they decided against putting an actual human head inside the visor, so it is just kind of painted with these blue electro lines. To be honest with you guys, I'm not too bothered. I'm kind of surprised to see him include two accessories, so we do get that very kind of iconic Mirage blaster that we see form out of both him and Noah in the movie. But what does this guy transform into? Well, it looks to be some kind of futuristic, very sleek looking jet, and again, for a Core Class, I'm actually pretty impressed with this. To be honest guys, as you all know, I'm a massive sucker for the live action movies, and I think this exosuit may actually be better looking when in comparison to the version that I think we got released last year for Studio Series 86. So yeah, definitely a surprise, but a more than welcome addition to my collection. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And that pretty much wrapped it up in terms of Core Class Rise of the Beast reveals, but this wave is going to consist of 3 core classes, and of course they've got to be cheeky and throw in a bit of Studio Series 86, so the third character will be Frenzy, who is a direct repaint of Rumble, who we checked out last year. It's basically just a red coloured version of Rumble. You guys have the whole debate down in the comment section below whether or not Frenzy should be blue, Rumble should be red. Honestly, I don't know, but we're getting both of them in the collection, so that's pretty cool, and it was a repaint that was bound to happen, so yeah, that's pretty sweet. Now we're going to get stuck into some of the massive drops, so we go straight into Deluxe Class. I think this was the only Studio Series Deluxe to be revealed for the panel, and it is Nightbird, and I'm going to say to you guys, I am a little conflicted as to what I think of this, because to be fair, the second I first saw it, I was like, wow, it's basically just a slightly enhanced version of the one that we recently checked out for mainline, and considering the past Studio Series figures have for the most part been vastly superior when in comparison to their mainline releases, I was expecting a little more from this figure. But anyway, you know, in terms of the colour, that is definitely one of the biggest improvements that I can tell when in comparison to the mainline version. She does look way more accurate, especially in terms of the head design, you know, with the kind of purple visor that Nightbird had in the movie. There is a shed ton of kibble on her back, and it doesn't look great at all. To me, it doesn't even vaguely resemble the wings that she had in the film. I have no idea whatsoever what's going on here. It does kind of look like she's got a pink laser beak strapped to her back in some angles, so yeah, this is not looking too great, but the chest looks cool. She will unfortunately only include a sword and not 2 of them. We did see her dual wield swords in the movie, so that kind of sucks, but in terms of the leg design, again, smack on more or less to what we saw from the mainline version, even the hip kibble. So yeah, definitely not a major improvement, but it is super sweet to see that I believe this will be an officially licensed Nissan and GT. It's fantastic to actually get an official version of this car into the collection, and despite some of the qualms that I have with the robot mode, the vehicle mode looks banging. Again, way more accurately coloured when in comparison to the mainline, and because it is officially licensed, all of the details are on point, especially in regards to the front of the vehicle and that spoiler. So yeah, vehicle mode looks awesome, but robot mode, I think I'm really going to reserve my final judgments for when we actually see in-hand images of this figure, because we saw a similar CG render of Mirage earlier this year, and then when we actually saw him in hand, he looked 10 times better. So I'm holding out hope that that is also the case here for Nightbird, but you guys let me know down in the comment section below. What do you think of her design? Now we're going to get stuck into Voyager class, and this is one which I'm pretty certain we all saw coming, but one that will definitely be a welcome addition to everybody's collection, and it's an actual mainline, a figure which will be put out to retail version of Ratchet. It's a Voyager Studio Series 86 Ratchet, a straight up repaint with a minor retool of Ironhide, which we saw last year. Fantastic that this guy is getting a proper mainline release, because the last time we saw a G1 Ratchet besides the core class release, he was an Earthrise Amazon exclusive, and that figure was so difficult to track down. Ironhide's a banging mold, so this is an absolute pickup. It is such a shame to see them still use transparent plastic on this guy, especially considering that with all of the buzzworthy Bumblebee releases, where they've kind of upped the toon accurate deco on those characters, they've all had painted windows with kind of cell shading detail, and we even saw that with the most recent buzzworthy Bumblebee 2-pack of the Dead Ironhide and the Dead Prowl, and even with the Studio Series Brawn. So I have no idea why they're still sticking to this transparent plastic. I imagine it's so that when they eventually do get round to giving us battle damage versions of Brawn and Ratchet, that's where they can kind of trick us into double dipping and buying that, because undoubtedly, much like we recently saw from Ironhide, I imagine that redeco will have the solid plastic windows. So yeah, it kind of sucks, but again, fantastic to actually get this guy at an affordable price tag. And this was the huge drop, the biggest drop from SDCC for me, and it's one that I've been so excited to see as to how they would kind of approach it. It's our first Studio Series Commander class, which in itself sounds fantastic, because Commander class coming to Studio Series is just an entire Pandora's box of untapped potential. As I mentioned in a previous video, it would have been amazing had they held off on that Age of Extinction Leader class Grimlock that we got in the very first wave of Studio Series, because I think he would have been a perfect candidate for Commander class. But anyway, as we all suspected, this Commander class is a Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus. It looks fantastic. It literally looks like a masterpiece. It looks insanely awesome. They've basically done everything that I was hoping they were going to do. So straight away, no Albino Optimus Prime. There will be no removable armor on this guy, which I think is a massive pro. For the past couple of years, we've seen that kind of Siege / Earthrise Ultra Magnus repeated over and over again. And to be honest, guys, I just got sick of the mold. So to see them really strike a great balance between accuracy and enjoyability with this, I think is fantastic. The robot mode looks so clean. It will have kind of an ejectable Matrix of Leadership, which will be able to burst out of the chest. He'll come with his iconic G1 blaster, a pair of blast effects, which if I'm not mistaken are taken from the Skylings figure that was also a Commander class a couple of years back. And one of the coolest features of the robot mode is that he won't have detachable armor, but he will have detachable limbs. So you can recreate his death on kind of the Junkion planet, which I thought was so badass, and it's amazingly integrated. I mean, I personally can't really tell whereabouts the joints are going to detach from this kind of product shot, so that's sick. And then when we check out the vehicle mode, this is exactly what I was hoping. So a complete clean trailer. I believe that it was mentioned that he can store 3 deluxe class figures, so 2 on top and 1 inside. I imagine depending on the size of deluxes, you may be able to cram an additional 1 on the base, so you can have 4 deluxe class figures being towed by Ultra Magnus. But yeah, this looks so insanely awesome. I cannot wait to check out the transformation, because this does look great. As I said, it really does remind me of a masterpiece, and some of the past Commander class figures that we've gotten, such as the Armada Prime and even the amazing Siege Jetfire, in my opinion, have been just supreme. So I cannot wait to check out this Ultra Magnus. And that is where we kind of wrap things up for the main line of Studio Series, but they threw in a cheeky exclusive, which I did not think they were going to create at all. So kind of a sequel set to the 15th anniversary 5-pack of Autobots that we got last year. They're going to be giving us, I believe, a 4-pack of Decepticons. Now, unfortunately, no Frenzy. I think this would have been the perfect opportunity to give us Frenzy, but they've basically repacked Barricade, Starscream, Megatron, and Blackout. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't think I'm going to be picking this set up, because the only figure which does seem seem to be an improvement over its original release would be Barricade. The new paint apps look fantastic, but from this image that they did officially reveal, it looks as if though Blackout is going to retain his original hands and not the updated articulated fingers that we saw from the Studio Series grinds, or which I think is such a massive missed opportunity. And the 2007 Megatron still has the inaccurate Revenge of the Fallen chest piece, and Starscream does just seem to be basically a straight up reissue. So yeah, this is going to get a pass from me. There are not enough differences here to warrant picking these molds up again, and that is Studio Series completed for SDCC. So now we're going to get stuck into some of the Legacy Evolution exclusives. So nothing for actual Legacy mainline. These are all just kind of exclusives that are going to be kind of distributed through various different fan channels, and this one, the one we're going to be kickstarting off, is absolutely fantastic. So this is an Armada product. Personally, I think some of the Legacy Armada characters that we've had are the best out of the entire Legacy line, and this is a deluxe class Power Links hotshot with a Minicon Jolt. Yes, you guys heard right. We are at long last finally seeing Legacy Minicons. I mean, it's not like we've been crying out for them ever since they gave us hotshot last year. Fantastic inclusion with this guy, and to be fair, it does appear to be quite detailed. I was kind of surprised to see how detailed it is, how articulated it is. It's going to be way more superior when in comparison to the Micromasters that we saw from the War for Cybertron line. They show how it can attach onto the back of Hotshot in vehicle mode, which is pretty sick. He'll also include 2 blasters, which are directly inspired by an episode of Transformers Armada, as well as 2 Siege Jetfire blast effects, which this time have been decoed in a nice red. And talking of red, the color scheme on this Power Links hotshot looks absolutely fantastic. It looks badass. Definitely cannot wait to check this guy out over on the channel. Looking better in my opinion when in comparison to the original release, and it does just make you wonder why they haven't actually kind of sculpted Minicon ports into any of the previous Legacy figures. Maybe they never had plans for Minicons and they saw the outrage by fans and just decided to kind of finally do them. But the box art on this one is actually really interesting as well, because much like we saw from, I think it was the recent Senator Shockwave and Orion Pax pack where they kind of packed in an Easter egg of an upcoming character, that's also the case here for this hotshot, because that definitely to me does look like an Armada thrust, although unfortunately I think they're going to use the Earthrise Seeker mold for a base, and that does kind of suck, guys. I do not like that Earthrise Seeker mold at all. It's incredibly dated in my opinion, and to think they reissued that as the Studio Series Coronation Starscream is just crazy. But from this image, it does look like they're going to retool quite a bit, so who knows, maybe this will be the best version of that mold that we'll ever see. Cannot wait to see them get around to revealing that. And then we get stuck into some of the Toxitron items. So here we have Leader Class Toxitron. I recently dropped a poll over on the channel as to whether or not you guys would want to see a review for this. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I was kind of expecting a little more from the color deco. I think they maybe could have spruced up the oil tanker a little better, and I already own 2 versions of this Legacy Laser Prime mold, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to be picking this up or any items from this set. We also have here a reveal for the G2 Grimlock. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think this is one of the ugliest repaints that they have ever put out. This thing looks monstrous, especially in terms of the T-Rex mode, and not in a good way. It does just seem like a test shot, like a prototype. There is barely no paint on this at all when in Dino mode. Robot mode looks slightly better, but yeah, these colors are just way too ugly for me. So yeah, G2 Grimlock, massive pass. They also showcased a G2 Dead End, which actually does look pretty decent, as well as a Watermelon Mirage. I never thought we would be seeing a new Watermelon Mirage, so yeah, that one's actually pretty cool. And a G2 Laser Cycle. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Laser Cycle was meant to be Jazz. Maybe because they recently released a G2 Jazz, they didn't want to have 2 Jazzes in this Toxitron line. Not too sure. This is based on Legacy RC mold, so as you guys all know, massive easy pass for me. Will not be picking that one up at all. And then we get a Siege Sideswipe repaint in his G2 colors, and I own way too many versions of this mold in my collection, so again, massive pass. I really am not picking up any of these G2 figures, I don't think. And then we also get a Voyager class cloud cover. Again, not going to be reviewing that at all. Not the biggest fan of his color deco. They also briefly touched base finally with deluxe class tow line. Awesome to finally see us getting some kind of mainline versions of those RID characters into the collection. Looking forward to seeing them maybe expand into a few others. And then this one was fantastic. This is going to be such a badass 2-pack. This is a Transformers Legacy Deadeye dual 2-pack of Deluxe Class Cascade and Javelin. Now, I personally am not too familiar with these characters. To be fair, I'm not familiar with them at all, but I can appreciate 2 incredible looking repaints and retools. And one thing which massively took me by surprise is that Javelin will be based on a live action movie Studio Series figure, that being Bumblebee Movie RC. Now, I think this is the first time that they've taken a live action movie mold and brought it into Legacy, and this is something which I've been hoping for so long. You know, some of the live action movie figures don't really have too many repaints. It would be awesome to kind of see maybe a Gen Select line of Studio Series live action movie figures. But anyway, yeah, Javelin looks sick. It's based on B-Movie RC, the best RC which I think they've ever brought out, so this is an instant win for me. They've retooled the head sculpt. I believe they've done a bit of retooling to the chest, and the backpack also is different. She comes with a sick looking blaster, so she looks great. And then we get Cascade, which unfortunately in my opinion doesn't really stack up as well as Javelin, because this is based on the 2018 or 2019 Siege Chromia mold. So we'll have a massive backpack. Never really been a big fan of this mold, and it does just seem to me like they've retooled the head sculpt and maybe the chest unit. I don't believe the chest unit is retooled though. I think it is just the head sculpt. So I'm going to pick it up mainly for that Javelin, but yeah, Cascade is definitely slacking in my opinion. And then we get stuck into a few other Amazon exclusives. So we have Nacelle. Now again, not too familiar with this, won't be adding it to the collection because it is just a straight up repaint of the Siege Tetrajet Starscream. I actually kind of like this mold quite a bit, but yeah, this really doesn't do anything for me at all, so easy pass. I'd love to know whether or not you guys are going to be picking any of these up. And then this one is definitely one that I'll be adding to the collection. This is a leader class Galaxy Prime. Now this is Nova Prime. This was the character that was teased on that previous Legacy IDW 2-pack, and unfortunately it is just a Galaxy Prime retool for Nova Prime. For this being the first Nova Prime in many years, I was kind of hoping that much like we'd seen from Minor Megatron, Senator Ratbat, etc., that they'd maybe do a bit more retooling to this, because I'm not a big fan, as I said previously, of that Siege Ultra Magnus mold, and this is basically just a glorified version of that, or the Siege Galaxy Prime that we saw back in 2018/2019. It looks decent. I love the wings, you know, basically anything which is brand new tooling looks awesome, but not the biggest fan of this mold, so I was kind of hoping for a little bit more for this one, but it does look badass. Definitely will be checking this one out on the channel, hopefully fairly shortly. We also finally got an official reveal for Deluxe Class Medics. Gonna be honest guys, this was one of the Legacy characters which took me the most by surprise. I never in a million years thought they would be tapping into the Rescue Bot universe. It does just go to show that nothing is off the cards in terms of Legacy. I will be checking this one out, so definitely be sure to stay tuned to that. And then this was a huge reveal, which I did not expect to see coming at all. So this is a Menasor Combiner gift pack. So it's basically all of the Stunticons that we collected last year in one massive 5-pack. And I believe they've been given some slightly more toon-accurate deco. You can definitely see that in terms of Menasor. He seems to have like a metallic silver or chrome vac metal sword. That looks pretty cool. And some of the Stunticons, from what I can see, again, do appear to have been given a slightly more toy-accurate deco. To be honest, guys, I don't think I'll be picking this one up, because I already have the other Stunticons, and the paint app differences, to me at least, don't appear to be that much different. And then I believe our final reveal was the final Shattered Glass figure for 2023, and this one actually looks pretty badass. So this is a 2-pack Deluxe Class Sideswipe and Whisper Rodimus. Now we're going to talk very quickly about the Sideswipe, because I think this is the most interesting mold that we've so far seen for that Siege Sideswipe. It actually looks kind of cool. You know, he's got this massive gash going through the chest piece. I believe he's got a brand new head sculpt, or at least that's what I can kind of see from this image. Brand new weapons, really cool color scheme, love the way that looks. Vehicle mode as well looks pretty impressive. You can see some of the new pieces that he'll come smacked onto the roof as well as onto the side of the vehicle, and I love the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod mold. So to see it done in a Nemesis color deco here for Shattered Glass Rodimus, instant pickup. This looks fantastic. Really awesome deco on Rodimus in both robot and vehicle mode. I in particular love the sick metallic silver thighs. So that was awesome. That's a wrap. That was everything that was officially revealed as part of San Diego Comic-Con 2023. Some enormous reveals here, such as Ultra Magnus, such as the majority of the Rise of the Beast characters, and some of those IDW figures. What a time it is to be alive. These look insanely cool, and I think will kind of see us through the end of 2023. I'm unsure whether or not they have anything up their sleeves after this, because yeah, they pretty much gave us a shed ton of reveals for the rest of the year. So you guys let me know down in the comment section below, out of everything we've discussed here today, what are you guys most excited for? I'm pretty certain I can kind of guess it's got to be that 86 Ultra Magnus, but there are some pretty cool bangers that were shown off today. So sound off down below, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.